Hello everyone. Welcome to Communication of Chinese Costume Art. Last section, we have talked about the fourth part, the interactive communication in the Chinese costumes history. Now, let's move to the fifth part, the external communication of Chinese costume art. Now, let's move to the first lecture, Silk with a history of 5,000 years. As the first country in the world that invents silviculture, silk reading, and silk weaving, China has found half of the cut silkworm cocoon in 1926, indicating that our ancestors already knew how to use silkworm cocoon 5,000 years ago. A batch of silk fabrics was unearthed in 1958, 4,700 years ago. The warp and weft density of silk showed that the silk weaving technology at that time had reached a certain level. 3,000 years ago, there were written records of silkworm, mulberry, and silk in the inscriptions on bones or tortoise shells of the Shang dynasty. Silk fabric in China has long been an important export item and an important medium for economic and cultural exchanges between China and foreign countries. Because silk is unique to ancient China, many countries called China Silk Country. They wrote China as Shrik and the Chinese as Silser. These two words were transformed from surge. In the early days, due to the inconvenience of transportation, it was impossible to understand the real situation in distant countries. In the first century, Roman writer Pliny wrote in his Natural History, "The cerise is the name of China. It's famous for the filaments produced in the woods. This kind of gray silk grows in trees. They soak the silk with water and combed it. Women sort the silk and weave it into silk fabrics, which is sold all over the world." Aristotle believed that silk came from a caterpillar. In short, they do not really understand what kind of material silk is. Because the silk weaving has the beauty of lightness, smoothness, transparency, and luster, merchants from many countries in ancient times did not hesitate to travel long distances and hard ships to exchange precious silk fabrics for China. According to records from the 5th and 6th century BC, China's silk fabrics began to spread to the west. This kind of soft and bright Chinese silk appeared in Europe and was extremely welcomed as something only found in heaven in Shenhua. According to a Western historical record, Julius Caesar of ancient Rome wore a Chinese silk robe to the theater. The people present were so envious of the dazzling imperial costume that they did not want to see the theater. They all focused on the imperial costume. The 4th century BC, Indian ancient book, The Laws of Manu, also has a record of bundles of Chinese silk. It is also known that Chinese silk was introduced to India relatively early. At the beginning of the 6th century, the Egyptian geographer Cosmas wrote in his book, The Customs of Christian Countries. The state of Tinisna, 奇尼斯拿国, is the name of China. It's the farthest to the left. Silk goods passed through many countries by land and were transported to Persia. Silk was transported to ancient Rome, and its value was equal to that of gold. Roman rulers regarded silk as the supreme treasure. The aristocracy competed with each other in wearing Chinese silk clothing, believed it to be a symbol of nobility and fashion. The road from Gansu and Xinjiang to the west has been quite famous. for its distribution of silk fabrics in China, so the Chinese and foreign historians has called it the Silk Road or the Road of Silk. In fact, the Silk Road has become a synonym for land transportation between China and the West. This Silk Road had two routes, north and south, in the Western Han Dynasty. At the end of the Western Han Dynasty, a new north road was opened up. The south road started from Dunhuang and can reach Darouzhi, Anxi, now Iran, Tiaozhi, now Syria, and Daqing to the west, and Chengdu to the south. The north road diverges from Dunhuang and the south road and crosses the Congling to Dawan, Kangju, and Yancai. The new north road can reach countries on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean. In 1907, several pieces of silk fabrics of Han Dynasty were found in the Fengshui site of Dunhuang's ancient Great Wall. One piece was inscribed with the words of origin, size, weight, value, etc. at the end, and the other piece was inscribed with ancient Indian Baltic enigma. This is the best example of being exported to the West. Besides the Silk Road across Eurasia mentioned above, our ancient working people also transported famous silk fabrics to Japan, South Asia, West Asia, North Africa, and other places by sea in the south. A large number of silk fabrics were unearthed along the ancient Silk Road. A large number of hand brocade and embroidery were found in the Bureau of the Ancient Xiongnu, and Ancient Nationality in China, in Yiruma, south of Lake Baikal, and in Minnusinsk, on the banks of the Yenisei River. Lingwenqi woven silk with diamond-shaped pattern of Han Dynasty was unearthed in Crimea. Silk Ling and Qi with Chinese characters in mind have been unearthed in Syria in Western Asia, and many silks from the Han and Tang dynasties in China have also been found in Iran, Italy, and some Mediterranean coast countries. A large number of silk fabrics of Han Dynasty were also unearthed in Mongolia and North Korea. In history, the friendship between the Chinese people and people from all over the world was as brilliant as beautiful silk. Okay, that's all the content of this course. The content of next course will be the spread of silk, wool weaving, and batik in Qing and Han dynasties. See you next course.